talking about drill, right? You got the trouble with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was outside cooking stuff. Yeah.
Y'all just talking about it on the virtual meeting. I got a text one night like, oh, geez.
Yeah, I had plenty of people talking. I was like, hey, you guys have everything else to do.
I done been on so many virtual meetings. I said, everybody just treat us like they virtual meetings. I done been on so many virtual meetings. I said, everybody just treat us like they virtual meetings.
Yeah, she said.
Right here, sir.
The chair is in the back, and it's
How you doing, sir? Doing fine. See you, my brother.
we're good.
All right, we ready to go? Good evening. At this time, I'd like to call the August 18th, 2020 board meeting to order. It is good to see everybody, even if we are masked up. Very nice not to be on the computer this go around. I believe we have had proper public notification for this evening's meeting. And as we begin our return to normalcy, unfortunately, we still cannot open up the meetings to the public yet, but we're glad to have you on our YouTube channel. I do note the confirmation of a quorum, and so this time the chair will entertain a motion to enter executive session. I believe the only thing we've got is personnel, correct? Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, we enter executive session, for personnel matters only.
Thanks, Ms. Harrison.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you, Reverend Jackson. Seconded. Ms. Harrison, motion. All those in favor of entering executive session for personnel matters indicate by raising your right hand. Okay, I was just making sure we got everybody. This is neat. I can see everybody. 7-0. We will enter executive session not to exceed 6:30. And Ms. Brown is saying we need to go. We go first. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Go into that.
well, this one. Well, this one. Hey, Doc, how y'all doing?
Oh, yeah. student presentations first?
Hmm?
You doing the student presentation?
The board presentations is the only thing we have today, sir.
No, I'm talking the students. You know, we normally have all the students be doing that tonight.
No students today, sir.
Oh, man. Disappointing.
He's gonna do it.
All right, I believe we've got everybody back. This time, the chair will entertain a motion to exit executive session.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, we exit the executive session.
That's it.
You had your finger on the button, but. Thank you. It's been motioned by Ms. Harrison. It's been seconded by Mr. Davis to exit executive session. All those in favor of exiting executive session, indicate by raising your right hand. I believe that's 7-0. Thank you. Again, welcome. And at this time, I will turn it over to Ms. Harrison for the pledge and the moment of silence.
Let us all stand for the pledge and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
At this time, the chair will entertain a motion regarding the approval of this evening's agenda.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you, ma'am.
I second.
Thank you. It's been motioned by Ms. Harrison. It's been seconded by Mr. Davis to approve the agenda. Any discussion on this evening's agenda? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the agenda indicate by raising your right hand. 7-0. Thank you. And I will turn it over for presentations and recognition. All right, it looks like this part is me. At this time, I'd like to recognize our board members who have participated in the School Board Association leadership training and have moved up in their boardmanship institute levels. And I'd like to congratulate the following board members. I think, if my note is correct, there's a certificate and a pen at your seat. So we won't have the congratulatory. I know it's killing Dr. Green not to get a picture on this, but we are all we're in this together and all making sacrifices. If I hear that saying one more time. Anyway, at this time, I'd like to recognize Mr. Joe Siebels, who has attained level 2 with the boardmanship. Mr. Darrell Davis, who has attained level 3. Ms. Sylvia Harrison has attained level 5. Mr. Carl Jackson has attained level 5. And that's all I have on that. Anything additional?
Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Left it out.
You weren't on the list that I got, Miss.
I made level 6, as y'all know, when we went on the board conference.
That's for last year, though. This is for the upcoming year. But I do want to recognize, you're absolutely correct, Ms. Hartman has obtained level 6, which is the highest level of Boardman Institute. Well, and he's been there for, he's on level 10.
6 years ago, yeah. I'm old.
They retired it for Mr. Miller. But thank you, that is correct. You have obtained level 6. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion in regard to the board minutes for the July 21st, 2020 meeting.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, we accept the superintendent recommendation to approve the board minutes for July 21st regular call board meeting.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
I second, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. It's been motioned by Ms. Harris. It's been seconded by Mr. Davis to approve the July 21, 2020 board minute meetings. Any discussion on the board meeting minutes?
Mr. Chair, I just want to note for everyone sitting on the floor with the mic in front of you, you do have to turn the mic on, because I did not preset them. I did not turn them on to make sure I can conserve the battery. So just note that, and if you need help, I'm more than happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, hearing no discussion on the board minutes, Chair will entertain, we got the motion in the second. We'll now move to a second. A vote. It's the mask, y'all. The mask. Move to a vote on the board minute meetings from the July 21st, 2020 meeting. All those in favor of approving the minutes, raise your right hand. See, 6. Negative. Abstentions. Thank you. 1 abstention. And we'll move to the superintendent's report.
Chairman Frick, members of the board, a few updates I'd like to share with you today. First of all, Monday, August 17th was the first day of our LEAP week. As you remember, LEAP week are the 5 additional instructional days that Superintendent Spearman asked the General Assembly to approve. It is important to note that LEAP days are optional. Students are not required to report for LEAP days. They are only designed to accommodate students in grades 4K through 8th grade. And so we have a pretty robust number of students that are reporting, a little more in middle school than we have at the elementary schools. I'll tell you, the young people who are there are very excited about being there. They are adhering to all social distancing protocols. So if you were in the building, you see that they were wearing masks at all times. They were 6 feet apart, for example, during lunchtime, and even as they were in the classrooms. And so this has been a trial run, if you will, of what the school year will look like come the 24th, which is our first official day of the 2020-2021 school year. With that said, the State Department did approve the plan that we submitted to move forward beginning August 24th. We are very excited to have our young people who will be reporting on the 24th. And as I said earlier, it will be a limited number of students. I'll tell you, at the high school, we have approximately 150 or so students that will be reporting for in-person instruction. For an example, at Fairfield Elementary School, which is our largest school, we have approximately about 70 students that will be reporting. Some of the other elementary schools are somewhere around 40 students or less, depending on the school. And so it will be a pared down version of what schools have looked like previously. But once again, I think this gives us a great opportunity to see how we operate in this new paradigm. And if things go well, then we would be poised to expand the opportunities for young people to report for face-to-face instruction. And then finally, I forwarded you today a parent resource guide, which is information for parents to reference as we return to school operating in this whole new COVID era. There will be questions that parents and students have, obviously relative to how operations will work in this new COVID climate. And so we wanted to prepare a guide readily available to answer any questions that parents may have. So I shared that with you. In the event that you get any questions from parents, you could readily reference that guide also. That's all I have relative to updates. Are there any questions relative to what I shared? So we don't know totally how many students yet. We know how many students we anticipate, Ms. Hartman. Once again, they've given us kind of a confirmation that they plan to report. I just gave the number from the high school. We anticipate that we'll get between the Career Center and high school about 150 students to report on day one. But once again, we'll know for sure come Monday. Yes.
Chair.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Green, I know I had to discuss with you about the lunches because I had a lot of calls on that.
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of share with them what are we gonna do as far as delivering the lunches for the ones that's doing virtual?
Yeah, and so what Ms. Harrison is referencing is there were some questions about would we be providing lunches for students who are continuing to receive the instruction virtually, and we will do that. We won't start on week one because we need some time just to figure out the bus routes. I think our plan is to start the Monday after Labor Day, Ms. Harrison. But we will run routes where we will deliver meals to students who are leveraging our virtual platform. Right now, our plan is to try and deliver meals, potentially 5 days of meal in one day. So we can minimize the number of routes that we have to run. In the event that that is problematic, we may try and make some adjustments, potentially delivering twice a week. But we do have every intention of delivering meals consistently to those students who are being educated at home.
And also, do you know if every staff member have cleaning supplies like the attendance office, librarians, guidance? I know teachers have them, but we supply cleaning supplies to every staff member.
That is my expectation, Ms. Harrison. I mean, I need to verify that to be sure.
I don't want the people to think that they got to bring their stuff from home when we're providing. So if you could please check into that to make sure everybody's getting cleaning supplies.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chair,
Reverend Jack's got a
I'm
question.
sorry.
I'll get back
I'm
to
sorry.
you.
Dr. Green, would you speak to Fairfield's bus drivers? I'm hearing a whole lot of stuff about charges of other drivers. Would you speak to the district's place where we do? Are we short them? Are we okay with bus travel?
Yeah, quite honestly, Pastor Jackson, we're in very good shape in all positions, including bus drivers. And so, I think we're probably in a lot better shape than other districts, knock on wood. And so I would probably say, if anything, we potentially could even have a surplus when it's all said and done. So, no, we aren't short bus drivers, absolutely not.
Mr. Miller?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Fred. Dr. Green, I just wanted to talk to, I got a few phone calls, on yesterday, and it was concerning, is it over? No. I got a big enough mouth anyway this morning. Concerning, one of the parents wanted to know, has all the teachers been I guess, tested for, COVID-19?
Yeah.
Just wanted to know.
Yeah. So that's a good question. People have asked that, Mr. Miller, and so testing students or teachers is not a part of our protocol. For the simple reason that if you get tested on last Wednesday, and it generally takes about 3 to 5 days before test results are returned, and then you report to school 8 or 9 days later, then really the test really has no value relative to whether you have been exposed to COVID-19. All right, and so same thing with students. So there is no protocol where we are testing students or teachers prior to their return. Now, there are some conversations now about this rapid response testing that you've heard in the media that can have a 40, I think a 3 or 4 hour turnaround where you can tell immediately whether someone tests positive. Now, we do not have access to any tests of that nature currently.
It's only 70% accurate.
Well, yeah, so I've heard some different questions about how accurate it is. I received some information today indicating that they may be trying to implement that in South Carolina to a certain extent, maybe at the higher ed level and then potentially at the K-12 level as well. But that has not since occurred.
Secondly, and my last question, I seen the day where, when I came in, Brown asked me to wash, wipe my hands, of course. So everybody coming into the building is gonna have to go through that for us being, I guess, the temperature, as well as going through the protocol, I guess they would call it.
Yeah, so we will do temperature screenings. We are mandating that people spray out their hand sanitizers as they enter our facilities. Now, we do have hand sanitizer stations at the front of all facilities, and quite honestly, throughout the facilities. But we are mandating that someone enters the building that they wash their hands with hand sanitizer. Obviously, we would encourage that, but that's not something we mandate. As it relates to temperature screening, even though it's not a part of DHEC protocol, and I want to reiterate that fact, DHEC is not recommending that schools do temperature screenings as students and staff enter the facility. And part of the rationale there is, I think that so many people are asymptomatic who do not have temperatures, sometimes it may send a false sense of security. And so if you check temperatures and say this person does not have a temperature, then obviously they must not be positive, but that's not accurate, okay? With that said, we are still moving forward with implementing a temperature screening at all of our district facilities, including all of our school district office facilities. Every district facility will implement temperature screenings.
All teachers say everybody, as well as students entering the building.
As well as students, and so.
I just want to make sure.
So we have purchased temperature kiosks, similar to what you all saw when you entered the building. Our secondary plan, if we can't get your temperature through the kiosk, we have the handheld thermometers that will be our secondary option to check the temperature. But our hope is that the overwhelming majority of them will be checked with the temperature kiosk.
So we do have nurses at each school. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
So if anything that may arise, then they go see the nurse?
well, and so in the event that, you know, let's say someone went to the front and the temperature kiosk said that they had a temperature, and we wanted to do a secondary check. Our nurses will train individuals within the building who can do a temperature scan with a handheld thermometer. So I would tell you that every time we do a handheld check, it's going to be the nurse who does it. The nurse could do it, but there will be individuals at the facility who could do it as well. For example, here, if you come and there's an issue with the temperature kiosk, our receptionist will check the temperature at the front, okay? So it's not always going to be a nurse. Ideally, at a school level, that's probably who it will be, but not exclusively.
So since you brought that up, so district office staff,
Yes,
are they being checked?
yeah, so there will be a kiosk, the same as you see here.
Right.
There will be a kiosk located in the district office as well.
What do you mean by kiosks?
Yeah, so when I say kiosk, is you came in, you had to place your hand over a machine that registers the temperature. And so we have ordered, I can't remember off the top of my head how many kiosks, but enough kiosks where we can have multiple located in the district office and multiple located in the schools. All of those are not in currently. I think they'll be in this week. So by the time students return on next week, we'll have kiosks throughout all our facilities.
Thank you, Dr. Green.
Mr. Freak. I'm glad Dr. Green brought the kiosk up, because from my understanding, they don't have it at the middle school yet, but they are
Yeah.
getting, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Dr. Green.
Just talk loud, man.
Yeah, it's on, but it ain't working.
Is it
Talk loud.
Is it lit up?
Well, it's,
Doesn't look like it's. Yeah, it is.
Dr. Green, I have a two-part question. I was asked this question, let's say for instance, like with the cafeteria workers, right? If someone should come in contact with the COVID-19 and they're at work, would that whole staff have to be quarantined?
So, and this is in the guidance that I forwarded to you earlier. What DA protocol says is if you come into close contact with someone who is a confirmed positive, then you're required to quarantine for 14 days. Close contact is defined as coming into 6 feet of distance for a minimum of 15 minutes. So if you walk by someone who is COVID positive, that doesn't equate to you needing to quarantine, all right? If you can have 6 feet of distance between you and someone, then you wouldn't need a quarantine. If you just went by someone for 2 or 3 minutes, you wouldn't need a quarantine. So, you know, there's a perception that if you come into contact with anyone for any period of time, that would suggest that you need to go into quarantine. And we had a conference call with DA today, and they reiterated that is not the protocol. It is close contact. So coming within 6 feet for a minimum of 15 minutes is what DA determines to be close contact.
Okay, the second question is, if they should have to go out and be quarantined, do they have to use their vacation time or will FMLA pay you?
Yeah, I'm not sure about FMLA. Denise might can speak to that. What I'll say is, if we have someone, an employee of the district, who we suspect has come into contact with COVID-19 during their regular work responsibilities, then we will cover their sick days, okay? And won't ask them to use their personal sick days. With that said, we've had individuals who have come into contact with COVID-19 who aren't even at work, all right? And as a result, have been required to use their sick days because it's happened outside of any kind of work requirements at Fairfield in the Fairfield County School District. But if we determine that it potentially has come about as a result of your normal work schedule, then we are planning to cover your sick day.
One more question. I want to piggyback off Mr. Davis. has that been discussed with staff, I guess, for its clarity? Because obviously somebody was thinking that, like me and Mr. Stevens, and because me and Mr. Stevens get within 4 feet, and for instance, and I may, have COVID-19, I'm just saying, hypothetically. And so, because he and I crossed paths, and we might have talked 5 minutes, oh, I got to be tested. But what you're saying is that, and the staff needs to understand, is that within 15 minutes, that's what the CDC said.
Yeah, that's the protocol. Yeah, you need to be within 6 feet for a minimum of 15 minutes. Yeah.
I think we need some clarity in that, because everybody needs to know that, and anxiety, it's just, folks, it's the anxiety, the unknown. Just don't know. And so when it's not clear, they gonna make up, oh, such and such, I heard he, and so if we clear on that, then I think that might lower the anxiety.
Yeah, so Mr. Miller, obviously we've been having that conversation. Part of the reason that we are sending out the parent resource guide is to provide that kind of information to parents who may have those kinds of questions. We'll be forwarding similar information to faculty and staff as well to reiterate that point. But I'll probably share your sentiment in that we cannot share it enough. And so with something this new, we'll probably have to continue to say it over and over and over again so people really understand exactly what protocols are.
Dr. Green, just to piggyback on what you were saying about the sanitation of the school and everything, I'd like to commend you and the staff on the great job that you're doing. Luckily, my kids were part of the leak week this week. I got a chance to see them use the electrostatic sprayer, the hand sanitizer that they got in all the hallways. They got the bathroom showing the kids how to actually wash their hands, 6 feet distance, stickers on the floor. I just want to let you know that y'all doing a great job, and I know we're gonna make it through this.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Folks, as I said, this is an uncertain time. There's lots of anxiety associated with operating in this era. I think we have a very sound plan that maintains the safety of faculty and staff. But one thing that we cannot control for, and this is something I want to reiterate, we can put all the procedures known to man inside the district and inside facilities. But that has nothing to do with what happens once people leave our facility. And very often what happens is you may be maintaining 6 feet of social distancing when you're in our facility. You may be wearing a mask when you're in our facility.
Yeah.
But if those things are occurring when you leave the facility, then potentially the virus comes back to our facility.
Right.
So it's going to need to be a community commitment. So it needs to be a community commitment, because just because someone is exposed to the virus, even within our walls, doesn't necessarily mean that occurred or originated at school district. Okay, and so that's why I remind parents and staff and students that we're gonna need to continue to be responsible once we leave our respective facilities. Because if we don't maintain that same level of responsibility, regardless of how careful we are within schools, if you aren't careful once you leave schools, then the virus potentially comes back to schools. Okay?
That's what we need from our leaders.
Yeah.
You, all of us, we're leaders. You got to stress that. It's so important. You got crazy people talking, you don't need no mask, but I'm wearing mine. And I'm not wearing it for so much me, but I don't want to give somebody else. I'm looking out for my brother, my sister. I'm looking out for them. And so if we continue to take that torch and make sure everybody understands, you got to keep on, walking along.
That's the point that I wanted to speak to. And I'm glad Mr. Miller said something, because that was what I was getting ready to talk about. not only should we emphasize the wearing of the mask so that we don't spread something, we ought to also emphasize that the mask does provide some protection to keep you from catching something. Now, everybody's talking about, I know the commercials on TV say you wear a helmet to protect yourself, you wear a mask to protect others. They ought to put in there and yourself. Because there got to be some, if it's going to protect me against you, then it's got to be providing some protection for me against you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank Green, just quickly on the kiosks that you were talking about there, how are we paying for that? Is that coming from some of the money, the extra money we received from the state?
Yeah, so we are paying for that through some of the CARES Act funding.
Okay. And that was the same with the electrostatic sanitizers
Yes,
and the
sir.
like?
Yes.
Any other good discussion here? Any other thing?
One more thing.
Yes, sir.
So how many, do you have you give us I guess, a number of how many we have?
How many sprayers or what?
Which ones
Kiosks?
that, you know, the ones that kills the germs, you know, from the schools, you know, how many we have in certain
So
schools?
off the top of my head, Mr. Miller, I think we ordered, I want to say 15 electrostatic sprayers that we received. I think we have an order for another 15 sprayers that have not arrived as of yet. So we should have somewhere in the neighborhood of about 25 or 30 sprayers when it's all said and done. Okay, I think we have in district now probably about 15 or so, but we have another order of about 15 that have not arrived from two different vendors.
Are those the same sprayers for the building, is for the buses?
Yeah.
Are they different?
No, same spray. Yeah, same spray. What I will tell you is we've ordered two different models of sprayers.
Yes, sir.
The ones that we have currently in are the guns, and those are in. There is a rolling canister that we've ordered about 15 of those. They've not arrived yet. I think we're scheduled to get those first part of September.
I did see the gun, electrostatic spray, and I did see the kiosk at high school.
Yeah. Well, I want to end on this note, just reminding everyone of the importance of the entire community embracing our responsibility for protecting and minimizing and mitigating against any potential spread. And, you know, there's a lot of conversation about whether students potentially could be exposed to COVID-19 or staff could be exposed to COVID-19 in our facilities. And we're doing all we can to ensure that that does not occur. But I don't want people to forget their responsibility for ensuring that no one is exposed to COVID-19 outside the facility. And so the same way we're requiring people to wear masks in facilities, I want people to wear masks outside the facility. The same way we require people to social distance in the facility, we want people to social distance outside our facility. The same way we're asking people to sanitize their hands in the facility, we need you to do that outside the facilities. Because if you don't, folks, I'm telling you, it will not work. It absolutely will not work. We can do a great job in our facilities, but if we are doing this in the community, we're going to have spread in the facilities. Thank you.
Mr. Rick, one more
Yes, sir.
question.
Sure.
Dr. Green, for the kids that's doing the leap and the parents, are they just dropping them off and coming back to get them, or they're allowing people, the parents, to come into school?
Yeah, so the parents are dropping them off.
Okay.
We've not, we are prohibiting parents from entering the facilities. What we've said to parents are that we are going to minimize the amount of outside traffic. Now, if there is some kind of emergency or something going on, obviously we'll make some concessions there. But generally speaking, we want to minimize the amount of traffic that we allow in the facility. Okay.
All right. Any other questions or concerns on this? Thank you. Hearing none, we'll move on to nothing else on. And we'll move on to curriculum and instruction.
Chairman, Frick, members of the board, I bring before you a request to approve the locally designed elective courses that are approved every year by the board for Fairfield Central High School and Going Odyssey Academy. As I said, these are locally designed courses that are presented for your approval every year. I'll wait till the 6th.
Thank you. This time, Chair will entertain a motion in regard to the approval of the locally designed elective courses.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion that we accept the superintendent recommendation to approve the locally designed elective courses for the 2020-2021 school year.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
I see you going to the button when you get here. It's been motioned by Ms. Harris, it's been seconded by Mr. Davis to approve the locally designed elective courses for the 2020-2021 school year. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the elective courses indicate by raising your right hand. 7-0, thank you. Operation and Finance.
Good evening. In your board package, you have the finance report for the month of July for board review.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Robinson on that? I do. I know this is July, but we still have stuff coming in, so this is not the final report, but are we unfortunately still on track for the shortfall that you had anticipated?
Yes, sir. That is changed.
Okay. Thank you. I believe that's all we have on Operation and Finance. Now we go to Human Resources.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. For your approval this evening, item 1, the superintendent recommends the board approve certified resignations and terminations. That's presented in Exhibit 1.
Thank you. This time, Chair, entertain a motion regards to resignations and terminations in Exhibit 1.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, we accept the superintendent's recommendation to approve certified resignation, termination, and Exhibit 1.
Is there a second?
I second.
It's been motion by Ms. Harris, it's been seconded by Mr. Davis to approve certified resignation, termination in Exhibit 1. It's personnel, so there is no discussion. All those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. 7-0, thank you.
Next, the superintendent recommends the board approve certified professional educators for academic year 2020-21 in Exhibit 2.
Thank you, Chair. Entertain a motion in regard to those certified recommendations.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a recommendation that we accept the superintendent's recommendation to approve certified professional educators for academic year 2020-21. Exhibit 2.
Mr. Chair, I second the motion.
Thank you, sir. It's been motioned by Ms. Harris and it's been seconded by Reverend Jackson. We was quick with the trigger finger that time. This is again personnel, so no discussion. All those in favor indicate by raising your hand. 7-0, thank you.
And lastly, being presented to you this evening is the district's new Title IX policy. As presented to you last month and explained, the United States Department of Education recently issued new regulations regarding Title IX complaints related to allegations of sexual harassment in schools. These new regulations establish concrete and consistent requirements that significantly impact the manner in which public schools will be required to investigate and handle complaints of sexual harassment. The new federal regulations apply when there is an allegation of sexual harassment that has occurred in a school's education programs or activities and are relevant for students and employees. Therefore, the Title IX policy will appear in sections of the board policy manual for students as well as personnel. The superintendent this evening recommends the board approve second and final reading for the new Title IX policy JIAA and GBAAA.
Thank you, ma'am. The chair will entertain a motion in regard to the second and final reading for our new Title IX policy.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion to accept the superintendent recommendation to approve second and final reading for the new Title IX policy, JIAA and GBAAA.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Chair, I second.
Thank you, sir. It's been motioned by Ms. Harris, it's been seconded by Reverend Jackson to approve second and final reading of new Title IX policy JIIA and GBAAA. Any discussion on that? And I believe this is a federal mandate, so I don't know that we have a whole lot of wiggle room on this. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving indicate by raising your right hand. Thank you, 7-0. I believe that brings it down to me. First and foremost, I want to thank all of y'all for being here today. I know y'all believe as I did that if we're asking any of our children to attend in person, it would behoove us to be present here today. Plus, I really like being in person a whole lot better than being over Zoom. It's convenient and nice, but conducting a public meeting is a whole lot better than doing it that way. And soon, hopefully, we can open it back up and have folks in here live rather than just being able to look at it over the internet. I believe there is a document in your folder. Is that correct, Ms. Brown, that they need to, y'all take a look? It's from the School Board Association. I think they need some information from you. If you will check that document out and then return it back to Ms. Brown. And I also want to thank Ms. Brown and whoever else that you had to help us with this layout. I know this was not necessarily easy, but it does work. It's kind of functional. And I still look forward to the day when we all be back on the dais together. Unfortunately, it's not this month. I do anticipate, unless something dramatic changes, that we will be doing this again for the September meeting. So if there's nothing else.
I've got one more thing.
Yes, sir, Mr. Miller.
Where's Dr. Baker?
She's not.
Oh, okay. Just checking. Thank you.
Anything else? If there's nothing else, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, I make the motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let's have it. See y'all in September.